Hi, everyone. Welcome to the webinar today. My name is Alexandra Alvarado. I'm the Director of Marketing and Education here at the American Apartment Owners Association. So glad you all could make it today. We are going to be talking about insurance, not always the most fun thing to think about, but it is definitely top of mind right now because so many landlords are seeing their insurance rates go up, and we predict that that will only be happening more next year. And that's even if you didn't file a claim. So we thought it would be a good time for you to learn from some experts at Honeycomb Insurance. We brought with us Jorge Ortiz, who is experienced in helping multifamily owners with their rental policies. And I want to tell you a little bit about him before we start. After working in finance and business development, Jorge started working as an insurance sales consultant in 2020. He joined Honeycomb Insurance in 2022, and he leads their direct sales efforts. Jorge wants their customers to feel comfortable, educated, and empowered by taking control of their insurance needs. So even though it sounds like there's bad news around insurance, there are solutions, there are ways that we can work around it, and Jorge is going to help us learn how to do that. Now, before I pass it on to Jorge, I'd like to cover a few things. Per usual, we are recording this full webinar, so if you miss anything for any reason, we will send you the recording tomorrow regardless, and also the PowerPoint slides in case you want to review those or take notes later. And also, Jorge's contact information will be there. So if you did have follow-up questions for him, or you have, maybe the need for an insurance sort of overview, he would be the guy to talk to. And so we'll send that all to you tomorrow. So keep an eye out for that. And also, we will have time at the end of this presentation for Q&A. So definitely think about some questions. You have an expert, so it's a great time to ask. And also, if you could put those questions in the question box instead of the chat box, that's preferred so that we can keep better track of it all. So with that being said, Jorge, thank you so much for coming to speak to our group. We are so glad to have you, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what strategies you have in store for us.
Thank you, Alexandra, and thank you for the opportunity. So let's just start talking about Honeycomb Insurance and what is Honeycomb, right? So Honeycomb was founded in 2019, is headquartered in Chicago, Illinois. Basically, our niche is landlords. We focus in single-family rentals, apartment buildings, and condominium associations. The multi-unit buildings that we can do is any we don't have any specific size or age of the build year. So as long as something that we can analyze and talk, we are willing to take a risk on it and look at it. We work directly with landlords and investors in addition to agencies. So Honeycomb does a lot of partnerships with agencies as well. And Honeycomb is currently live in 15 states and covers more than 50% of the US. So what is a business market proposition? We are very fast. So we try to talk to the underwriters to get approval, get any conditions, get any type of coverage adjustments in a timely manner. And we also communicate very well with our investors, landlords, agency partners to give an answer in less than 24 hours. So that's something that is a great market proposition for us. Is that it provides great value, and that's something that our clients really appreciate. Let me just move to the next slide. So today objectives will be to talk about how multifamily insurance differs, coverage that you need for your multifamily property, the rise of insurance costs, what insurance carriers are doing to combat the rising costs, what we can offer, what kind of discounts out there, what you as the insurer can do to lower your premium rates as well. So how multifamily insurance differs. Sorry. So you have to think of this as a business. Even if you have an HOA or a condo association, that is considered a business as well. So you have to insure accordingly. There are certain coverage that are there for a duplex. that will be covered on a DP3 that won't be covered in this type of policies. Our type of policies are more commercial for habitational purpose only. We provide more liability exposure and more coverage overall. So we protect the landlord, the owner, and the HOA way better than other policies can do. The risk assessment is also different, especially for the underwriter purposes, right? In this type of commercial habitational policies, which is what Honeycomb offers, we focus in the little things. We're talking about water backup, underground pipes, and stuff like that. And also, our policies can let you choose your name insurer. We can do the HOA, the LLC, the tenancy in commons, which is something very popular in California, or individual owners. Other carriers, they're very specific to who the name insurer will be. So we're more flexible on that. So most important coverage for the multifamily, pretty much we have to take care of what is the replacement cost versus actual cash value. So replacement cost is a very important coverage. Basically, we will cover the property at the replacement cost of today, of 2023. So if the roof gets damaged, we get you a brand new roof. If it's something like its actual cash value, is going to be depreciated and you're not going to get the full replacement cost value. It's something to take a look in the policy, something that you can ask to. The liability coverage, Honeycomb tends to offer more liability than any other competitors up there. Our policies come with $1 million per occurrence, usually up to $2 million per occurrence as well. So that will protect you in event of a lawsuit, as well as the directors and officers and the HOA members. And business income coverage, that is aka known as rental value. Basically, that rental value will help you uh, to subsidize in event of a claim the rents that you would collect if you were operating your business. So the business that we're talking about is being a landlord. So we subsidize that rent until the property is habitational again. That's what they call business income or rental value as well. Ordinance law A, B, and C, as you guys can see here in the picture, it will pretty much pay for the demolition costs, increased cost of construction, and any undamaged portion of the building. That is something that we always force to and suggest to our clients, but in a platform and as I say, as Alexander explained as well, we let the customer decide. My job is to explain the coverage and tell the customer this is what we can offer, this is what we do not offer, and this is what we suggested. Um, Now, the client at the end has the final say, and we go with what the client says. Directors and officers, there is a coverage that will protect the directors of the HOA against any wrongdoing, any lawsuit by any other member of the HOA or any other person that lives in the building as well. Equipment breakdown, this is a very important coverage. This will cover, for example, the HVAC, electrical fuses, any type of equipment breakdown that may occur due to a claim, right? For example, a pipe burst and hence the HVAC doesn't work or something happened, we will cover that as well. So you are not up there without that specific coverage. A water backup and some overflow is just pretty much the sewer lines. Sometimes it depends, but many insurance will not cover that, and we enforce or try to suggest that coverage. So we make sure in event of a water damage, every single aspect it is covered. Our policies are very, very designed pretty much to protect the landlords, to protect the owners. And main exclusions are usually flood and earthquake, but pretty much it is an open peril policy. So anything about besides exclusions are pretty much covered on our type of uh, coverage, right? So just move. So let's talk about this topic. Why are multifamily insurance rate increasing? So in reality, it's a lot of factors that goes into play. Is the increased risk of catastrophic events, natural disaster, Florida has been hitting the hardest on these, Texas too, California as well. The rise cost of construction is creating a big problem too. Usually, the replacement cost for a property that used to be valued to $100,000 nowadays is almost double. So we have to take that into account when we are like applying the cost per square footage in the replacement cost for the insurers. I try to negotiate that as much as I can with the owners, with the clients, so we can get into an agreement. But that's something that we should take into consideration. And me as a advisor, as a consultant, right, I have to advise you what would be the best route into this, and also taking into account the cost of replacement cost per square feet. Right, some carriers are leaving the market too. You guys probably saw that on the news. There is Stefan farmers. Some of them are leaving certain markets because it's not profitable for them, or they have to adjust the book for optimize profitability. So they're just leaving certain markets entirely. Global inflation is also a big topic. Everything is going up, especially in the construction side. So we're experiencing what is today a hard market. That means that it's a little bit harder to find insurance than before, and the prices are not just then. Especially when you get like an increase of 20% or 15% and you haven't had any claims, it's usually not your fault. It's also is mainly because the book of business of that specific carrier has so many claims that they just need to increase the price to justify, um, well, to pay for the claims and to stay profitable, to stay in business, right? To justify their business as well. Increasing amount of claims, that's something that I just talk a little bit right now. Um, so let's move over and let's do a poll. Insurance rates. So Alexandra, can you help me with this, please? I think we're gonna do a poll. Here you go. Did your insurance rates increase in the past 12 months? Yes, no, or I don't know.
Yeah, that's great. I'm gonna give you all a little bit of time to answer that one. I did put I don't know just in case you really aren't sure because you haven't checked what you're being billed for, which is totally possible. Maybe you had a sneaky increase that you missed and you're on auto pay or something. But yes, I'm seeing a lot of yeses as we sort of predicted, I think. Let's give it just a few more seconds just to make sure everyone gets a chance to participate. All right, guys, I'm going to show the results. All right, there you go.
Okay, so 93% says yes. Well, that's something that we can take a look at it here after. Well, that's very impressive. So let's keep going. So what insurers are doing to combat the hard market? And I will talk a little bit more about how Honeycomb is different too as well. So real estate insurance, pretty much habitational, has not seen any technological advancement, but that is changing, right? Honeycomb is doing something different, and there are other carriers that are adopting technologies as well. We use AI and technology to speed up the process. This is something I talked at the beginning of the presentation. We have a easier way to provide a quote. We usually provide a quote between 5 minutes, and also we have a way to communicate faster with the clients and give you an answer if we're going to insure the property or not in less than 24 hours. Our underwriting is in-house. That's something that we designed it that way to be at the speed of the market that is needed. And we also try to talk to the clients and build a relationship. So we are your partner at the end. I deal with investors that have 40 properties, and I deal with HOAs that is just one property. So we don't discriminate against that, and we give the time that each customer deserves as well. So aerial photography can replace manual inspections. That's something that also Honeycomb does. Instead of sending you an inspector to see if we're gonna keep the policy and so on, we ask you to take some pictures with a proprietary inspection app. We just send you a link. You click on the link, and any smartphone can do it. Any person can do it. You just take the pictures that the link indicates you, usually around the property. Nothing out of the norm. You don't have to go over the roof, go to the basement, or something like that. It's super simple. And basically, with that, we can check the stage of the water heater, the electrical panel, the property overall, and we can give you an answer if, hey, we're willing to take this risk. Hey, we need you to fix this, or make some repair on that, or we're just simply gonna deny it, right? This is something that it could be post buying, meaning the policy has been issued and we ask you to do the inspection, or it could be pre-bind as well. This is an option that we're developing. We're going to deploy shortly to make sure there's no issues when you want to move forward with us. As I say, underwriting adjustments, we get quotes every day, and sometimes an underwriter will adjust it to a certain price or certain coverage that we suggest for the risk, and it will be my job to explain those coverage and how the quote was adjusted, and what would be the new value specifically. So, but at the end, as I mentioned, I talk to you, you talk to me, we try to build this relationship. As you told me, hey, I appreciate that, but I don't really need, for example, water backup this high. We can decrease it to half. That's something that we're willing to do. As long as you know, my job is just to be extremely transparent, right? Streamline the quoting process. So I'm gonna do a quote live so you guys can see how fast it is done. And basically, it will take 5 minutes. I will put the address and basically the information that we require. Some of the information I'm gonna make that up for the quoting purposes. But in cases in the quote purpose in the quoting process, you forget to include certain information, you are not sure. Every single quote will have an insurance agent that will be assigned to, so we can always adjust it. So it's not a final proposal until we talk to you and then it's approved by the underwriter, which is usually in less than 1 day. In during the weekends, it could take like a little bit longer, but 24 hours is the norm with us. So let me just see if I can, sorry, go here. And I'm just gonna move hands and go to the quote. So when you go to our website, it will show something like that. Let me just put Honeycomb Insurance for the purpose of the. Sorry about that. Okay, here you can put the address, right? I will just done. Let's just skip for now. This is your details: existing client, new client. It's just your name and last name, just for record keeping purposes. Let's do a new quote. Let's hope it goes well. Oh, okay. All right, here we're gonna put the address. So just pick this address from California. So 239. I know it's at HOA. They emailed me early, so let's do it. A quick quote. Yeah. So let's click next. So as I say, it's an HOA. Over here. I know it is a 2 unit. So number of units is 2. Number of stories, I believe, is 3. Number of parking spaces, for the quoting purpose, let's say there are no parking spaces. Here, it would ask you to type out construction. Most of the buildings built in 1950s be fine, usually in frame. The square footage I know to be 3,000. So we're just gonna do this number of parking spaces 0, vacant 0, all of them are owner occupied. Let's do next, okay? And this is something that usually the client does, or I can do it over the phone with the client, or also the client will send me all the aspects of the details, or a copy of the policy, and I can just read the policy and transfer it as well. Either way is fine. So here's something that I will ask. So I was talking to the client for the quoting purpose. Let's say that everything has been replaced or remodeled, or at least taken care of in the last 5 to 15 years. The roof has been replaced in the last 5 years, 5 to 15, plumbing, 5 to 15 years, electrical, 5 to 15 years, HVAC, water backup. So I understand it could be like over 30 years, and that's totally fine. If you don't know the right specific age, it's fine. We don't hold you accountable. We just ask for an estimate. As I say, we can put I don't know or no. Let's do that for the quoting purpose, and we don't hold the client accountable on it. In terms of the electrical, if the client doesn't know, we'd ask just for a picture of the electrical panel, and that will let us know the year of the stage of the electrical panel right away. So let's say the roof is shingle. Usually by that, the client also tell us these, or the policy would tell us, but we can also look at Google, right? And then here in the images, we can see the roof is very flat. So let's do flat. Usually it's a mix of brick and siding. And then we just go here next. Since something, that's the estimated replacement cost. Uh, this is something for associations dues and fees. We suggest some sort of funds. Let's put $48,000 for the quoting purposes. Current carrier, it's not a requirement to put these, so let's just do a state farm for the quoting purposes. And just click next. Let's do test HOA. Now here, it would ask you a few questions in terms of coverage. Would you like water backup? And it explains that, right? So as I say, water backup provides coverage for damage to property caused by a clogged sewer line. Coverage for equipment breakdown. Common equipment breakdown in the building cause cover internal forces such as power surges, electrical shorts, mechanical breakdowns. And if you have any questions, you don't click one of those, we're gonna be on the phone. We're gonna email you. You can you can ask me, and we can go more in depth. Some people doesn't need it, some people does it, right? Here's, for example, employee benefits liability. Usually this will be more if there's an employee for the HOA, probably not applicable for such a small HOA. Hire no owner, hire and no own insurance provides liability coverage for property damage and bodily injury caused by you and your employees while driving for work. There is no parking spots here, so there is no issues for this. Hire no auto will not apply at this moment. And now here it would ask you some questions about electrical wiring, pretty much. These are the panels that we don't write business with. So it's one of those is your panel. We most likely ask you to change it, update it, or simply we will deny coverage on that one. So again, look into this. If you answer this wrong, we don't hold you accountable. Again, we just pretty much gonna talk to you and see what we can do about it. For the sake of the purpose, I would put no. Any insurance policy cancellation, let's say no. A non-renewal is not a cancellation. It's just pretty much the policy has been non-renewed. Uh, it specifically says due to loss history, right? So in that case, this no applies. A lot of carriers are leaving the markets, so we don't hold you accountable because your carrier just decided to abandon you. So is the HOA or COA have any financial or legal issues? Let's say no. Any prior insurance claim in the past 5 years? What ask you to let us know what was the claim. You can click yes and the amount. Or if you don't know, you can just leave it like that. Or if the answer is like no, no claims, just leave it no. Any violation with safety practice, excluding housing or activities. Pretty much I encourage everyone to read this. The condominium association is a 55 retirement community. The condominium association does not maintain public exteriors. Usually, most of the people that we get, a lot of our submissions, they tend to be good business and good buildings. So I hardly see this one as a yes. We just do not insure, for example, student housing, fraternity, is a vacation or resource exposure. It's just pretty much for liability purposes. We're not in that business. Any lead or mold issues, usually no. Any exposure to dangerous animals, we ask you to keep yes or no on that. Um, in case there's any dogs that we should be aware of. And then we explain everything here, and you can click here to see the dog breed as well. Um, any insurance policy cancellations. Okay, I think that we talk about that. Any violation or compliance with any building rules. Usually that tends to be a no, but in case we ask you to disclose, just in just so you know, we'll also take a look in all the public data to find out if there is any issues with the property itself. But usually the answer will be no on that one. Builders risk or developers policy. This includes in case you're looking to do a remodel for entire building, an entire unit, probably wouldn't be the best fit because of that. but we'd ask you just to disclose that, and we would talk to you to see what's the situation. Some people is like, oh, I just remodeled the bathroom. We're fine with that, but here talking about the entire building or a few units, that is something that we wouldn't be applicable for. Current or future construction, that's what we asked that. Um, Approval by structure. So require that you need association approvals. Okay, yeah. So CC and R, it's just pretty much an approval that you can do any changes inside the unit. Uh, so we ask you is the HOA requires that? Yes or no? Usually it's no. But in case that's the case, we just ask to find out more, and we will notice that and ask you in a phone call. Any case changes, but usually I haven't seen a decline for this reason. We just want to see how the HOA is structured and what you can do as well in your unit, right? So let's generate this. Probably is going to ask you for one more question. Let's say you get a non-renewal. Yeah, so rate increase. Why not? What we say was the State Farm. Let's say, what is your target premium? We want to know what exactly you're looking for to make sure we can accommodate in that price. And let's say 2,500 just for the sake of that. Probably in San Francisco will be higher, but let's just shoot for the starts. So let's get a quote, and here it is. All right. So we got a quote that is being approved. It just says here you can click bind. You will see something very similar. It will say created by Jorge Ortiz. This is me. But when you do it yourself, it will be created by you. It will say your email, all your information as well there. Um, the coverage are here, which I can explain. It says building, the business income, wind and hail, as you see, the limits are the same, and the deductible is 2,500. 72 hours means that it's going to take us 72 hours once the claim is done to disperse these funds. The liability, as I mentioned, is a $2 million aggregate, $1 million per occurrence. It will say here, per occurrence limit is 1 million. As for certified terrorism, this is something that is optional at the time of binding, but it will protect your business or your building in case of a terrorist attack. Uh, this is entirely optional, and once you click here, for example, bind, you can take it away. You can click decline, and you see how the premium will update. As far as the coverage goes, we suggest always to edit the plan or talk to one of us. Some people will say, well, that's not what I currently have. Let me send you all that I have. And we're happy to take a look at it. So we're gonna check in the coverage here, which is a property. Let's say the State Farm, in the example, insures the building for $850,000. So let's do 850, and we will let you know. For example, you can see how the price is changing, and also we will get a notification. You will get a notification if that's fine with our replacement cost estimator to insure. As I say, we're very flexible on that. It's not that you can go ahead and say, "Oh, I want to insure it for $100,000." That it won't allow you. You know, it's just simply it won't happen. Okay, so we have a replacement cost that we need to respect. Hexagon is this is something very particular of us. Let me see what I'm getting an error here. Let me just click on it and did you plan? So hexagon is something that is very particular, and I will explain why uh, in this policy. So hexagon is an enhancement of coverage that will give you the ordinance law that I explained, which are coverage, for demolition costs, in case costs of construction and undamaged parts on the property. As well, it gives you water backup, right? And then along other coverage like computer fraud, monitoring security, electrical data, all that it comes together for the price of 150. It doesn't change in any single policy. We suggest it because it covers the what if, right? And I want to show you what is that as well. I don't want to bore you to death, but it's important to go into details. But let's say we talk together, and you tell me, oh, the coverage for ordinance law is way too low. It's just $100,000. So we can go and edit, and you have an option to edit this. We will provide you with the link so you can play with coverage as well to edit this. So let's say we want to do the limit 10,000, and this is something how policies are written in terms of ordinance law. This is a very standard coverage, and this will tell you always the pricing every single time. And here you can adjust water backup. Let's say the limit is just 10,000. With the hexagons comes 25,000, which is over here. Yeah, it's 35,000 in total. But let's say your association or you want to have it a little bit higher, you can adjust that here and pay like 20,000, and the price will adjust immediately. This is something that you can do it yourself, or you can do it with an agent. We can simply provide you the quote, give you the link, and you can play with the coverage and say, you know what, I was playing with this. I look at the policy, I think this is the best route. We can issue the policy like that as well. As I say, it will tell you the billing limit is at 100% of the replacement cost. It could be that it's way higher, it could be that it's way lower of what you're currently paying, but this is what we suggest. And we have always flexibility to increase it. In San Francisco specifically, we take a look at the policies, and myself, I take a look at the cost of construction. So this will be something that we should increase, at least to be over $1 million, but it wouldn't affect so much the pricing on that end. So let's say we do 1,100,000, and because that's what you currently have with the State Farm, boom, everything increases accordingly, and that's the new pricing. You can click bind, make sure you add the name insured, the effective date, the decline here, and set a mailing address in case we need to send you a mail. Click the check boxes, make sure you read them, and click bind, and that will issue the policy. Any one of us can do it at Honeycomb. We also give the power to our clients to do it themselves. We believe that's important in the insurance market, but we're here to help you and help to coach you in case you need any help. So this is how the quote looks like. Nothing out of the norm. You will see the limits, as you see, main residential, replacement cost, the rental value, the eligibility, and over here, more coverage, as well as the pricing, right? Um, Here is the enhancement of coverage. Every single client of us will get this copy of the quote prior to binding. Basically, it will explain every single coverage, and these are all the coverage that comes in the hexagon. This is something that I always encourage to have, A, because it's not expensive, and B, it provides some sort of inflation guard, as well as coverage for water backup, underground pipes, and more, right? So fine arts, employee dishonesty, electronic data, debris removal, some stuff that it is the what if sometimes that this will give you a fully comprehensive protection. Fences, antennas, outdoor signs, pollute and clean up and removal, and so on. So with that being said, let's go back to the presentation. And I hope you like that. Let me see. And click here next. So what you can do to keep the cost down before a purchase. So proper research the area. Proximity to coastal areas tends to be expensive, prone to natural disasters too, and the crime rates. Those are some factors that insurance companies take a look at it. Claim history is important to investigate, but if it's a new purchase, sometimes you just don't know, and that's totally fine. Knowing standard wiring, we went over the wiring and the panels. Just make sure to ask for an inspection. Look if everything looks fine there, and you can share that inspection with insurance companies, so we can tell you, yes, this is amazing, or no, this will require an improvement. The roof condition is also that comes with the inspection. The better the roof, the most likely you're going to have a better rate. A lot of claims comes either for roof damage and water damage. So those are the two main claims I have seen in honeycomb. And sometimes when you tend to care more about that, you keep a good rate and a good balance in insurance costs. High vacancy rates, that's something that is not extremely important at the beginning, but as you develop in your book of business or you have different properties that you manage, that is something that we take into account to make sure if the property is always being occupied, you tend to have a better rate and a better renewal rate, at least with Honeycomb. And safety systems, sprinklers, and cameras, that gives you some sort of discounts as well, because it will help you to mitigate any risk, any what if. And we encourage you to be open about that. It could be that sometimes that's not the first question we'd ask, but every single client that had some sort of sprinkler system, cameras, they're eager to tell me, so I make sure I apply a discount and then collect some proof from them on that end. With that being said, let me see what you can do to keep insurance costs down. Well, just well maintain the property, right? Um, Adjust the deductible amount. This is something that would let you play with. Also, Honeycomb, it could be a lowest deductible is 2,500. Our highest deductible is $75,000. I haven't seen a client that used a high deductible, but there are some clients that are comfortable having a $10,000 or $25,000 deductible because they know they can take care of the property for the little things, and they need insurance for a major exposure or a major catastrophic claim, right? So at renewal, we also let our clients to adjust the deductibles. And every time you talk to one of us, we can adjust the quote for you prior to issue the policy. Sorry. Get rid of unnecessary coverage. We can customize the coverage, as you saw. We can customize the business income, the rental value, the ordinance of law, the water backup. We can see what is the sweet spot so you don't lose the whole coverage, but we can cover it properly, right? Update the core elements of your property. This is a roof, electrical systems. If you keep that updated, if you keep that in good conditions, or if you have an inspection once every 10 years or something like that, regarding the roof, that would be always beneficial. The more information you provide to us, the more exposure we have to what we call risk and the best decision we can do on that. Reduce vacancies, as I mentioned too, and shop around and explore new carriers. It's always good to at least once a year get 2 or 3 quotes and see how they compare and look at the prices. I know it's kind of boring or time consuming, but you can work with an agency or you can work directly with Honeycomb. I will provide you at least with Honeycomb just one quote, and you can see what kind of quotes an agency can provide you, and compare those. Compare if it's the replacement cost, the roof is at replacement cost. Compare every single little aspect on there. And with that being said, well, that is my email. You can get in touch with me. There is a website too. Feel free to take a look at it, and that is a toll-free phone number. We have a customer service team. We have reps ready to help you here. I would want to take a look at your properties and see how we can do better. It doesn't cost anything to submit a quote. Maybe it would take you 5 minutes, as you saw. And once you've done that, we can talk via email or phone call, however you prefer. We're not going to be calling you every single 5 minutes or something like that. Usually, if you don't answer, we send you an email and we let you schedule a time and go over it with you. We're very flexible and we understand that insurance is hard sometimes to get, and we want to be your partner, not just your insurance provider. And that is Honeycomb.
That's great. Thank you so much, Jorge. Um, don't leave yet. We have a lot of questions from the audience. Jorge is going to be answering them. Before that, though, I do want to make it as easy as possible for you to connect with the Honeycomb team. So I'm launching a final poll question here. If you do want a complimentary insurance analysis, of course, you can call the phone number or email Jorge. But if you do say yes to this question, we'll prioritize you so that you get reached out to first. So definitely, if you want to say yes to that, I'm going to leave it up. In the meantime, though, we can start with some questions. Lots of questions. So a lot of questions were around what you do insure, don't insure. So all 50 states, right?
No, 15 states. We do not.
15 states.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Is
So
Georgia one of them?
yeah, we insure in Georgia.
Okay,
So sorry
wonderful.
about that.
Is it Georgia? Louisiana was another question for
So we
another
don't do
location.
we don't do Louisiana, we don't do New York, we don't do Florida, right?
Okay.
In case those three are out, we do Texas, California, Pennsylvania, Virginia, Massachusetts, Illinois, Wisconsin, Indiana, but we don't do Washington State.
Okay.
Mhm.
So we can maybe give you a list that might be helpful for the people on the call here. Lori was asking also in terms of what you insure. If you do insure homes that are historical, 1920s, older, much older homes.
Yeah, we do. We don't have an age discrimination. As
Okay.
I said, we just have to take a deeper look into that. That is something I wouldn't advise just do it yourself online. I would advise to at least talk to us once, but that's something that we can do. Mhm.
Okay, great.
Mhm.
So a question from William asking, please comment on individual versus group policies. What are the pros and cons?
So we don't discriminate in terms of pricing. Basically, if by group he means like LLCs or HOAs, or he just means like his name insured. If it's just his name insured, we just want to know that we can do that. There's no discrimination on pricing. We usually in the insurance market likes when there is an HOA or a company because it provides the liability exposure protection. So in case of a lawsuit, the LLC will get sued. He doesn't get sued personally. So it's cheaper and easier for the insurance companies to handle that. Mm. It's just a shield protection for legal purposes. Yeah.
Got it. Got it. Okay, that's a good explanation.
Yeah.
Mo had a series of questions. Mo always coming in with some good questions. What percentage of or actually, let's start with this one. Do you have under an underwriter to provide umbrella insurance, and what is the range of umbrella insurance provided?
Good question. We don't have an umbrella product yet. That is coming. That is something that we will have it at next year. We can talk more about it. I'm pretty sure we're gonna let you know, but that's something that it could be add on in the policies, but we just don't have it yet.
Okay, great. Um, what is the maximum deductible an apartment complex can have, and how much insurance cost reduces if the deductible is at the highest? I think you touched on that a little bit.
Yeah.
Mhm,
So the highest we have is $75,000. I don't know exactly the percentage amount, but it's huge, the reduction.
mm,
It's something that we can do the scenarios. We give you once the quote is released, once we underwrite it and review it, you will get an automatic email and like here's the link for the quote. You will get the PDF and the link, and you can click the link and this is how you can adjust it, right? The quote that we send you in the PDF, this is how we suggest it to be. And the link will let you do whatever you prefer to do. And you can click bind there, or you can reach us out to bind the policy. Either way is
yes.
fine. Yeah.
Okay. He also asked, um, what percentage of the tenant rental insurance can help reduce the apartment complex insurance? Is that a factor?
It's not a factor, unfortunately. That's
Okay.
not a factor, but that is a good question.
Yeah. I mean, we always recommend renters insurance being required. It really does help in a lot
Mhm.
of
Mhm.
circumstances. So I would still require your tenants to get it, even if it doesn't give you any discount towards your regular
Yeah.
insurance. Um, okay, Liz, another coverage question. Do you insure smaller, older office buildings in Southwest Washington State?
We do not. We don't do buildings like that, mainly habitational, as I mentioned.
Okay.
The people has to live there. We
Mhm.
just don't do a lot of what they call mercantile yet. So maybe one day, but as of now, it's a no.
No worries. Tina asking if there are better premium savings if there's a metal roof versus asphalt versus a flat TPO.
Good question. So usually metal roof provide you more savings on the premium. Then it goes the shingle asphalt and then the flat TPO. The flat TPO usually you have to do some sort of work every 10 years on it to keep it up to good conditions. asphalt shingle can last 20 at the most, and metal can last up to 40 years. So the longer it lasts, the better.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Okay. Tina asking if there was a loss claim, how many years should pass before it's worth considering changing insurance? 2, 3, 5 years?
So let's say you got a claim. It depends, right? If they're gonna non-renew you, you have to get insurance with another carrier. But usually we recommend at least a year after the claim has passed to shop around. That would be ideal. I had clients that they did have a claim this year and they were shopping around because the carrier did not renew. So we asked for the loss run report, we asked for the proof of what was done, and depending on that, we actually approve a lot of those. So we're very flexible on it. There's not a time set, to be honest, but a year is usually a safe bet.
Okay. David was asking, what are the pros and cons with liability insurance, 2 million coverage, 1+1 aggregate, question mark, please go over claim experiences.
Yeah, sure. So 2 million aggregate means like that is the maximum amount of liability claimed that you can have during the life of the policy. So let's say the
Mm,
policies go from November 2023 up to November 2024, the liability claim cannot exceed the $2 million threshold. That's why the maximum per occurrence is just 1 million. I haven't seen anything higher than that. And usually, whenever there's a liability claim, the lawyers will get involved, and we, as an insurance company, will cover that. I cannot talk into the specifics, but the reason why it's important to have it higher, especially if you have like an HOA or a multi-unit building, it's just give you more protection because in case you reach the maximum liability threshold, and let's say usually it's $300,000, and the suing party is demanding more, that that you will be in a serious legal trouble. So here we can help you with that exposure, and it's very common to see these exposures being this high nowadays in our type of policies. That's why a lot of owners buy umbrella to protect them. We just put a little bit higher liability to protect the owners and investors.
got it. Okay. I know you covered this, but it might be worth repeating here. Um,
Yeah.
as tricky as the insurance is getting, what should we look out for in a policy that may not be covered, but that looks like it is?
Oh, interesting. I would say always check for the word replacement cost because they would say like, oh, we covered the roof, but it would say ACV. That means
Mm,
actual cash value. I always tell that to my clients, like, make sure at least if you're going with a competitor or somebody else, or you have a better quote, everything that you care about is a replacement cost.
mm,
And then just make sure to ask them as the agent. It's always better to have it in writing, and I'm all for it to always have it in writing. I whatever we discuss over the phone, I would type over the email in terms of coverage or something, because then you and I can have a proof of what we talk. And those are the two things. If it's something that really concerns you, always have it in writing. An email will work. And if it's something that you're looking in a specific coverage that you want to make sure is covered, look at the policy and make sure the word replacement cost is in there.
great
In terms of
advice.
yeah, in terms of specific coverage, we will have to talk about that. But usually these policy forms are very similar between one another. Mhm.
Thank you. Great.
Mhm.
Paul also asking here about where to access this quote process. I know we'll be sending the link to everyone in the follow-up email tomorrow as a reminder. We'll send you the recording and slides as well. I can also, or Jorge, if you want to drop the link when we're done in the chat, maybe we can get that over to them sooner. Um, Tina also had a few different questions. Let's see here. First question here was, does the square footage exclude an unfinished basement?
Well, you guys are coming with really hard questions. Uh, we'll have to take a look on that. That is something
See,
that we
yeah.
want to get the total square footage and be as accurate as possible. Uh, I don't want to say that we care only on the living space. We care of the total square feet, and we
Got
want to
it.
make sure we have the right number of stories and the right number of units, right? So it could be that it's a three-story building two um, with two units. So what is the other uh, story for? And then we can discuss that. But usually, yes, in our policies, we will cover the entire property. That's why we ask for the entire square footage. As you don't know for sure, that's why we're here to help. We will help you
Yes.
cover that.
And on that note as well, she asked if you insure a vacant building or if they it sounds like, well, actually, I don't know. Do you insure vacant buildings?
So we do not insure vacant buildings. Now, we had instances that the client's buying a building and is looking for tenants. Um, so we give you about 30 to 60 days. We're flexible on that. As long as you tell us what's going on, we can help you on that. And we do IDUs. I just saw that question. That's
ADUs
something
and
that
additional.
ADUs.
Great. Yeah,
Yeah,
ADUs are becoming much more popular
yeah.
lately. So great to hear that. Wayne asking, is Honeycomb the insurance company writing the policy, or is Honeycomb acting as an agent to another insurance company?
Yeah, good question. So we are manager general agency, what they call it MGA. We only have one carrier. It's called Accredited Surety and Casualty. It's rated A minus, admitted with every single state that we work with. The A minus rated is for AM Best. So we only write in what they call in insurance market good paper. So every single state that we go in, we have a partnership with the state and you can find about us. Again, the name is Accredited Surety and Casualty, and that is our carrier for now. But we do the underwriting, the claims, we do the inspections, we do the customer and account management. So everything we do it here at Honeycomb. They're just kind of like the carrier for us.
Nice. Okay, great.
Mhm.
Cynthia asking if there is a slip and fall claim that my insurance is fighting, and it can that take several years to finish litigation? And if so, should I avoid shopping until that's decided?
Oh, that's a tough question. The answer will be it depends. I think an insurance lawyer can advise you better on that end.
Yes,
To
I
be
definitely
honest,
think so.
I wouldn't be able to know for sure because it all changes. But in that case, a lawyer should be able to help you to find the right answer for that. Mhm.
Great. Uh, what, and I think David has the same question as Mo as well. Who is the underlying insurance company insured with?
Oh,
And then I think
I'm
Mo
just
had
gonna
asked something
talk.
similar. If you want to just type that in there.
Yeah. Mhm.
And then
Mhm. Go ahead.
I think the only question I think we haven't answers two more from Tina. One was in the process that you showed, she was asking, where do we elect full replacement? Um, seems like that's an option,
Yeah.
right?
So the our coverage immediately we will be automatically put at 100% replacement cost. Once that is released, you have the option to change it. There is a threshold that you can do. We don't want to accept like below a certain threshold, and the system will let you know, right?
Okay,
If you want to do it below that, you can give us a call or send. You are gonna automatically email with an agent, and basically you can tell the agent like this is what I have, and we will revise that. As I say, speed is a big is a big business proposition, so we're fast on responding and talk to you and help you to get the right coverage right away. Mhm.
great. Yeah, and let's see, I have here from Paul, he says, nice interface, detailed, but not too busy. So I think we'll end with that note. I think the big takeaway here is that getting a quote for insurance, and you all know it on the call because you're rental property owners, is never historically been an easy thing to do. It does require documentation, consults. It's very old school, and the insurance industry tends to be a little behind in some of the tech. And Honeycomb Insurance offers a solution that is a lot more fast and efficient, and their user interface is beautiful. I agree with Paul, and that really does help to at least give you a good idea of what your insurance rates are going to be like without having to go through so many steps and hoops. But then there also still is that option to talk to somebody if you do want to have something more in depth and tailored to you. And that's not, going to cost you anything. It's just going to provide you with, some information, and then you can choose whether to act on it or not. So definitely, want to make sure you'll see that value. And tomorrow, like I said, we'll be sending you the recording and all of the slides and that link that Jorge dropped in the chat again. So if you did want to start that quote process online yourself, you certainly can, or you can schedule a call with Jorge or someone on his team. So with that being said, thank you, Jorge, so much for your time. You did such a great job covering so much information and answering so many questions. And I know some of them were a little hard, so you did a great job. We'll send you those questions as well. And so if we didn't get to your questions at some point, don't worry. I'm sure Jorge will be in touch with you within the next day or so with a more detailed response. Yeah, thank you, Jorge. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you so much, Alexandra, and thank you guys.
All right, everyone. Have a wonderful day. Take care.
See you.
Bye.